Our government is committed to moving the territory towards stability and growth. As part of our medium-term fiscal development strategy, the government is seeking to build a thriving economy which fosters trade and small business opportunities. One type of venture to achieve this is the Cruise Pier Development Project. For the Premier's Office, I am your host, Information Officer Nadia James Harris. I'm delighted to welcome you to this special edition program where we will be speaking about the Cruise Pier Development Project. Joining me is our special guest, Minister for Communications and Works, Honourable Mark Vanterpool. Honourable Vanterpool, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's been 3 weeks since the BVI Ports Authority signed the berthing agreements with Norwegian Cruise Line and Disney Cruise Line. Can you give us an update on what has transpired since then on January 17th?
Well, as you know, the berthing agreements were important for us to be able to move forward with the development of the ports, especially the cruise ship dock. And therefore, we were happy that we were able to sign that and get on with it, as we think that the cruise industry in the BVI has a good future. And we were happy that two major cruise lines were confident enough with us to sign an agreement so that we become a major part of their future in the Caribbean and especially in the BVI. Since then, we have moved towards putting out our RFPs, requests for proposals for the building of the pier. We're hoping that in the next 4 weeks or so we can have those proposals back from about 6 companies who have offered to bid on the project. And then the procurement group will make a selection and recommend it to the Port Authority, and the Port Authority will then put it forward to the Cabinet for approval. We're anxious for that, so we're looking forward to that happening very soon. We also have been finalizing our arrangements with a bank, having put the same thing out for requests from several banks in the territory, and we have had interest, and the Port Authority is right now negotiating with one of those banks to finalize the financial arrangements, but we have a very solid proposal before us that we are negotiating from the bank.
Fantastic. Sounds like we're cooking with gas.
We want to cook with...
Moving full ahead with steam.
With renewable energy.
Renewable energy, true. The Cruise Pier Development Project. Tell us more about that. What does it entail?
The Cruise Pier Development Project entails one especially major component, which is the extension of the pier. As we said earlier, the new cruise ships that are being developed worldwide, especially for the Caribbean, because the Caribbean market is a very big market, they're developing bigger ships. Ships in the line of 4,000, 4,500 passengers in a general sense. These ships need a deeper harbor, they need a stronger pier, they need a wider pier, and they need a longer pier. So we didn't fit too well in those categories, and therefore the government has been pursuing this effort to extend it to be able to accommodate the major cruise ships from all of the companies. And therefore, we are intending through this process to extend the pier, lengthen it. It's approximately 400 feet longer, with an extra dolphin out front, and then we are widening it from about 40 feet, I think, to about 60 feet, 65 feet wide, I think is the numbers are the numbers I remember. But also we are going to be dredging the harbor to be able to allow the bigger ships with their keel to be able to come into the harbor and not have any problems turning and so on. We wouldn't like to see a ship out there stuck in the harbor at some point. So we're going to be dredging the harbor, and in that process, we intend to do some more reclamation along the harbor bay, and those are the two major things out into the marine side of it. We also want to be able to give the guests a better sense of arrival, And we also want to be able to give them better opportunities when they come on shore to be able to shop and have drinks and be able to mingle, and give our people here the opportunities on shore to be able to benefit better from the cruise experience. So the land side will be developed. Initially, we're going to build what we call a welcome center, where people can come and feel more accepted when they arrive, what we call a better sense of arrival. And then we're going to build 2 major buildings along the sort of northeastern side to be able to have some shops. And the second phase of that development, we'll build some more shops and some more restaurants and so on over the next 2 years or so. So that's the major part of the development that we hope to see happen in the next 24 months or so.
Thank you, Minister Vanterpool. It sounds like there is going to be a lot happening as it relates to the job market, stimulating the economy, and opportunities, further growth opportunities for small business persons.
Of course, and this is what we are promoting, and this is why we run for office, to be able to help our people move from one level to another level and have a better standard of living, and especially giving younger persons, other persons in the community opportunities to be able to make a living and to be able to exercise their entrepreneurial skills. And hopefully they will be successful. Initially, you will have the possibility of companies in the territory benefiting from the marine side of the development and persons who wish to work in that area. And then the other side of it will be the land side development, which will be more construction. And hopefully in the next 12 to 24 months, you will see a lot of that when we do the development on the land side. So there will be opportunities in the construction field and other areas connected with it, you know, landscaping and so on. Then following that, there will be opportunities for persons to obviously own shops within the development. And we want to encourage persons to look at what the possibilities are there, explore them. Don't just sit back and hope that they come to you, but you be aggressive enough to put forward your ideas and make applications to be able to do that through the Port Authority and be able to give an opportunity to have shops inside the development. There will be various types of shops, various levels. We want to be able to please the customer and be able to give them those opportunities. So we want to encourage persons to look at those possibilities. Naturally, I always try to encourage our entrepreneurs to find ways to joint venture, do your own if you like, but we want to be able to be more open-minded and broad-minded to joint venture and be able to get involved in the development out there. So we think that will happen. The taxi operators will benefit tremendously. The onus is on us to make sure that they can benefit from this in a tremendous way. Obviously, there are concerns that they have, and we must understand them because this is where they make their living. And the job is, and the responsibility is ours to make sure that they can make a good living from the cruise development that we are doing as they have in the past. We want to make sure that they can even do better. So every step of the way, it will be our responsibility to ensure that the taxi operators benefit tremendously. There will be new opportunities, new ways of doing things, but we want to encourage them to be open-minded and join in the effort to find ways that they can benefit from the cruise development that we are doing.
Will there be any specific opportunities or specific discussions with the taxi operators, with persons who are already in the field as it relates to the Cruise Pier Development Projects, to see how they feel and how they would like to be involved in the expansion project?
Yes, all along the way we will be and continue to, as we have done, to get them involved, let them know what is happening, encourage them, show them ways that they can benefit from their development. We want them to be open-minded. We want to be able to hear their views, understand what their situations are, and they do have concerns and views, and see if we can channel them in the right direction to be able to benefit from this. We have had discussions with the cruise lines, not just Norwegian and Disney, but all of the cruise lines, to find ways that we can help our taxi operators or other vendors, the territory as a whole, to be able to benefit from passengers who they bring to the territory. And you know, when numbers increase, It may sometimes appear that you may not benefit as well, but I am one who believes that once the numbers of visitors increase, that everyone will benefit. We just need to find ways of how we can make sure that you can benefit from those passengers who will come to the territory.
Thank you, Minister Vanterpool. Could you explain more on how the project falls in line with the overall plan for the government to expand and develop the entire territory?
Well, you know, tourism is a key factor for us. One of the major pillars that we depend on in our economy, or all of our people depend on tourism in some way or another. And we have different aspects of tourism, which is, you know, the overnight tourism. We have other tourism areas, sports tourism, and so on that we're trying to develop. But cruise tourism is an important factor for us. And everyone knows that from the day I took office, I made a quick visit to Miami, had discussions with the cruise operators, understood what their concerns were, came back to the territory, and began to address those concerns, met with the various stakeholders in the territory, and recognized that tourism has to be a major factor in our development going forward. We depend on financial services, yes, but we need to expand our tourism in a broader way, in a more beneficial way to the territory. And therefore, the cruise ship development is important. As a government, we are very firm in that. We believe that the airport development is important, and not just the cruise pier, but we also look at all of the ports that are important to the territory's ability to deliver a good tourism product and to be able to serve our residents here in the territory. So this is an area that the Premier has asked us to focus on, and we're following his lead and ensuring that the areas that we work within, each minister, that we can deliver what our Premier and the government on the whole is asking us to do. So cruise tourism is an important factor. We have to be able to address it. It's a competitive area. You know, there are other islands around us who are moving forward.
Exactly.
We cannot sit and fold our arms. You know, there are always criticism about how you do things, and that is fair. That's what we have. We have a democratic society, and therefore we listen to views, we hear views, we may adjust according to the views that we hear and go along. But ultimately, this government is building a cruise pier, and we're very anxious to get on with it.
Thank you, Minister Vanterpool. At this time, we will take a short commercial break, and when we return, we will hear more on the berthing agreements surrounding the Cruise Pier Development Project. Please stay tuned for more.
In a world where there are so many sources of Virgin Islands government information, there can only be one official source of Virgin Islands government news. www.bvi.gov.vg, your official source for government information.
Welcome back to our special GIS program, where we are speaking with Minister for Communications and Works, Honorable Mark Vanterpool, about the Cruise Pier Development Project and the latest updates with this project. Minister Vanterpool, welcome back to our program.
Glad to be back.
A major part of the project has been the berthing agreements. Tell us more about this. What is a berthing agreement?
It's a very important aspect of ports. They're simple berthing agreements. They're more complicated ones. They're longer-term ones. I think if you think of it in the sense that every cruise ship that docks at the pier here for us, but it's on an annual basis or whenever, have a berthing agreement with us in a sense. They book their ship sometimes 16, 18 months ahead, 24 months ahead. And once that booking is made, you've effectively made a berthing agreement to give them the time that they request over the next 6 months or 12 months, whatever it might be, slots that you agree with them on. Then you reconfirm them, and then they know that they can now go and promote that time that they're arriving in the territory along with the rest of the itinerary that they may give to a cruise passenger. So you've made it a berthing agreement with the cruise ships, whether it's for a 12-month period, most times it's for that period, or 16-month period, or whatever it might be. And normally, most ships that you do the agreements for is for is done 16 or 18 months ahead. In the case that we are doing now, we are basically making a berthing agreement with certain specific arrangements with Norwegian Cruise Lines and Disney Cruise Lines for a guaranteed period so that we can have a guaranteed number of passengers over the next 15 years, in this case, for passengers to come to the territory, and based on that guarantee, we can now invest in development of the pier so that we can better serve the cruise industry and better serve our territory here.
Can you please tell me, explain to us that term guarantee? You say that we will have a guaranteed number for the next 15 years. We are 100%, 120% sure that everything is locked down for this period.
Well, obviously a guarantee gives you a certain comfort level, that in this case you'll have a certain number of passengers that these cruise lines intend to bring. And if they fail to bring them, you have some what you call remedies or some solutions at the end that you will be faced with. So you evaluate whether the cruise companies that you're dealing with may have that ability. Obviously, we are comfortable with Disney and Norwegian Cruise as two companies that have a solid background, have you know, what you call good balance sheets, some money somewhere. But once you have that, and they guarantee you that they will bring these passengers, it's in their interest to bring them, because then if they don't, then they will have some remedies. In this case, they will have to pay the guaranteed amount of money for the cruise passengers that they've guaranteed, and so on. So there is that arrangement that you have. But it's obviously in their interest. We want to make sure to bring the passengers. We don't want to just collect the charges. So once they have obligation to bring the passengers, we expect that they will. And then once they have done that, we can then benefit from the shopping that they do, the tours that they go on. And also, you know, there are some other benefits that they've been exposed to the territory with the Virgin Islands. And you hope that one day, maybe 10% of them will come back and spend a week or visit the shores for a couple of days at a time and be able to spend more in the territory. So that guarantee is very important for us. It also helps us from a financial standpoint to allow us to make the development of the port more bankable. And not just the cruise pier now, but then the Port Authority can then start planning the other ports' development based on the revenue that they expect over the next 15 years from this arrangement. So we'll build the cruise pier that we're building now and the landside development, but we also will now be able to have a more guaranteed revenue that we can start moving as quickly as possible towards the western port development, which is important for us. The Virgin Gorda additional passenger pier that we're going to build, we want to, and Igata has become an important factor in the tourism sector of the territory, and we want to be able to improve that port over there. Just Van Dyke obviously is one of our main ports of entry, and we want to be able to improve all those. And you have a little smaller areas that we want to showcase and use for destinations, Salt Island, Cooper Island, other places like that that we want to be able to improve. So that guarantee of the berthing agreement, meaning that you've given the opportunity to Disney and Cruise to berth specific times over the next 15 years, and then you're also negotiating, because don't forget, we have done this with Norwegian and Disney, but we also, the Port Authority will be negotiating with other cruise lines, have already been doing so, to be able to come to the pier, because the pier wouldn't be just isolated for these two companies alone. So over the next several years, we'll be encouraging Carnival, Royal Cruise Lines, some of the European cruise lines to come and berth at the dock to be able to have the dock fully utilized and that we can benefit from it. So while we expect, for example, 425,000 passengers on roughly once the whole agreement gets up to speed, we expect to attract another 200,000 or 300,000 passengers from other cruise lines over the period of time, and eventually get it up to, I believe the initial stage is up to 750,000 passengers per annum, and later on, you know, seeing more more than those coming to the territory once we have the infrastructure in place and we can accommodate and manage larger numbers. So the guarantee is very important.
Thank you, Minister. You've said quite a mouthful and it sounds excellent. It sounds great. The question that has been raised, though, is are we selling the country out as what has been raised by a few persons? Is it a sellout?
I think that would be unfortunate if people thought that way, because we're here to try to develop the country entirely to the benefit of the people of the territory. So we are not selling our country out, obviously. We are trying to be able to develop the country in the interest of the people of the Virgin Islands. You have to understand one thing. I said to one gentleman the other day, if you were being offered, say, $8 million in terms of charges coming to the territory, and also said $3 million, as we may have had in the past, in the interest of a territory, in terms of being able to attract more revenue, which eventually goes to, for example, sending our kids to school, getting more scholarships, in terms of being able to help to develop our roads, or sewage projects, or water projects. We have hospitals and health areas to improve and complete what we are doing. We have seniors to look after. We have schools, education, and so on. We have to find ways to raise more revenue to be able to do that without putting the burden of taxes on you and me. And this is what we're doing as a whole in the government, not just on the cruise development, but in other areas that we're trying to develop. So when we move into development project like this, it's not a sellout. It's a way to try to improve our revenue base so that we can offer opportunities and amenities that the residents of the territory ourselves can benefit from. This project is clearly one where we see a long future in the area of cruise tourism, and we want to be able to solidify that future by giving these cruise lines the opportunity to help us to do that while we benefit from it in the long run for the territory. So we see it as a very clear benefit to the territory, and we will make sure that that happens as a government.
Thank you, Minister. We were just speaking about the berthing agreements and identifying what they were. Are there two berthing agreements, or is it one berthing agreement? Tell us about the...
Each cruise line have different, they're basically the same, but each cruise line have different aspects that they were interested in, and therefore they're two separate agreements. Disney is one company that is on its own, and Norwegian is another company that's on their own. So they're two separate agreements. You know, one cruise company is guaranteeing up to 350,000 passengers once it's all fully matured. And then the other cruise company is guaranteeing 75,000 Disney cruise lines. They're a smaller company. And then they have different aspects in there that we expect from them. And then we are working closely with them, obviously, to benefit from the expertise that they have. I mean, if you think of Disney, if you can associate your country and your name with Disney, no matter what you may think about it, Disney is a positive word worldwide. It's a household name. It's a success name. It's a family-oriented business that people flock to all over the world, not just in the United States, but wherever they operate, in Europe and other places. And the fact that we're able to associate ourselves as a territory with Disney, if we can benefit from the ability to organize and manage large crowds, to be able to help us with simple things like signage and branding and pedestrian management of our town or city, which we are very interested in. These are good benefits that we look forward to, and these are the discussions that we have had with Disney, and we want to be able to keep that very close association with them that we can benefit, because we believe that they have something to offer to us, and we want to be able to benefit from that, not just short term, but in the long term. You have to understand also that Disney is in the hospitality business. They're into hotels development, they're into all sorts of things. So we want to have that close association with them, that they can help to benefit our territory from the association with Disney. That's very important for us.
Thank you, Minister. We've heard a lot about the developments. We've heard a lot about the benefits. We've heard a lot about the pros of this project. Are there any clauses or any conditions that we should be aware of as it relates to the country?
Obviously, there are a number of clauses in the agreement that we have made. And when you're making an agreement, you know, it can't always be just on your side. You have to be able to, you know, come to some agreements where both sides can benefit. And therefore, we have made those agreements. We believe that we are able to double the revenue that we get from cruise passengers by the head charge that we are charging, that can go towards the country's development, the ports, and then other developments. We believe that there are areas that will benefit us, like I said, in terms of creating more opportunities on the pier and on the dock and throughout the city. We're very pleased that we're able to, first of all, sign an agreement. And, you know, as I told people, there's nothing secret about it. There are certain obligations that we had. In fact, you know, the port felt that the confidentiality part of the agreement, they wanted to make sure that it was clear before they let it go. And as you know, as Minister, I said that I feel it should be public, and we will make it public. But the port felt that to go through a process. And we have done that, where both Disney and Norwegian have agreed that there's nothing that they want to hide. They're willing to, and they had no objections in releasing it. We got them to sign that understanding that we release it. And so the document will be made public right away. And hopefully people can look at the agreement, understand it. They will have questions, and we will try to explain them. But we're happy that the public can see the agreement, raise their questions, in some cases raise the objections, because there's a reason why you shouldn't do that. But we will try to explain why we did certain things certain way in the agreement, and hopefully people will understand in the long run. So, but overall, it's an agreement that is totally to the benefit of the territory, and we want to make sure people understand that.
Thank you, Minister Vanterpool. This is part of the clarification process as well.
Yeah.
You spoke about head charge. Tell us a bit about the head charge. It has gone from $7 to $15. Tell us about that.
Well, technically, the head tax remains at $7 in the season and $2 in the off season. But we have agreed, in terms of trying to raise funds to the development, to charge an additional, which goes to the port, to be able to make the development possible. So the head charge of $15 is a charge that we split between the head tax, which is the $7, and the balance of it goes to the port for the development. Of course, the port will collect the $15 and pay the $7 that is due for a tax to the central government, and the balance will be used by the port for the development and so on. So that's where the terminology head charge comes from. The head tax, which is in the laws, will continue to be paid to the government, and the balance of it will go for the development. So hence the $15 that we have there.
Thank you.
And we've chosen to agree to pay a small portion of the port side of it for promotion and so on to Disney and Norwegian over a period of time to help promote the territory, especially the cruise industry, but overall the territory will benefit from the promotions that both Disney and Norwegian will do. And there's also an aspect in there in that fee that we're going to pay to those two companies to help to do what we call hospitality training for the territory, not just in the cruise industry, but hotel industry and so on, where at some point we are discussing with Disney, helping us through the hospitality training that they do to be able to bring that to the territory and help us to focus on hospitality training overall for the territory. And who better than Disney to do that?
Who better than Disney? Minister Vanterpool, thank you so much for joining us on this special program to talk about the Cruise Pier Development Project, to give us updates. As we prepare to close, is there anything else? Is there that one last takeaway message that you would like to share with our community?
We want our people to know that this development is for the people of the territory. in every aspect that we can find to ensure that the people benefit, we will be exploring those. It won't happen overnight. It will take time. We want people to be patient. We wanted to understand that we are moving in a very positive direction, and whatever we can do to help people to understand where we are moving, we want to explain it and encourage them and find ways to be able to prepare them to benefit from not just this development, but the overall development of the territory that the Premier is guiding us and leading us towards. We have a number of things we have to do. We have to build our roads. We have to, like I said, improve our sewage system. We have to improve our water system, which we're working on. We have to improve our city. The city of Rotown is going to be a city that we talked about for a long time once we get it done, and this is all part of it. Our Minister of Health is very urgent in trying to improve our health situation, not just in building a building, but he is looking at all aspects of it, bringing in experts, the HEMAs of the world, the various aspects of specialties in terms of health. He's working on that. Our Minister of Education is working on his area. Right now we're talking about environmental things, renewable energy. Our Minister of Responsible Natural Resources is working on those areas. He's also pushing hard on the fishing industry and agriculture. And, we have a number of things that we're looking at where we have to improve. The Premier is very urgent behind us as ministers to accomplish these things. He's obviously focusing very hard on tourism, and he's focusing very hard on how we can keep the balance with our financial services. And he's been very successful. We support him very strongly in that. You'll hear more from us as we speak in the budget debate, but we're happy that the people can understand that everything that we do is for the benefit of the people of this territory, of the Virgin Islands. And I'm very happy to be a part of this government to be able to accomplish that.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Vanterpool.
You're welcome indeed.
On this special GIS program, we have been speaking with Minister for Communications and Works, Honorable Mark Vanterpool. Our topic has been updates on the Cruise Pier Development Project and more on the expected stimulation of our territory's economy as our government seeks to create a prosperous Virgin Islands that is ideal to live, work, visit, and do business. For more information on the Cruise Pier Development Project, telephone the Ministry of Communications and Works at 468-0629. For your official government information, log on to www.bvi.gov.vg. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. For the Premier's Office, I have been your host, Information Officer Nadia James Harris. Thank you for tuning in to this program.